Live at 4. Fox 30 Action News Jax begins with First Alert Weather.
And right now, a live look at First Alert Doppler HD, where storms are moving across parts of our area. I'm Ben Becker. First Alert meteorologist Trevor Gibbs is in the First Alert Weather Center. Trevor, you're tracking a severe thunderstorm warning right now in Nassau County.
Yeah, that's right, Ben. Storms moving inland with time this afternoon. So much of our coastal corridor actually is looking at a really nice afternoon. And you're looking west, you see all those clouds. That's where those thunderstorms are. So we'll take you to that severe thunderstorm warning in western Nassau County right now. That is including Hilliard for heavy rainfall, lightning, and winds potentially 40 to 50 miles per hour, a little bit higher in the strongest part of that storm, and that's going to be moving southward with time. And we've also got another storm ahead of that where we're also seeing plenty of lightning. But this warning goes until 4:30. That might be canceled a little early, but still the idea is there that from Hilliard southward towards Bryceville, going to be looking at some heavy rain, gusty winds, and frequent lightning. So take it easy on the roadways. And we've also got plenty of lightning and storms that are not currently severe warmed, and that's heading towards McClenny and Baker County. So just a heads up, we've had lightning in the headlines a lot lately, and these storms have a lot of lightning with them. When thunder roars, head indoors. This line of activity heading southwest with time, going to be moving towards Stark if it holds together by 5:03. More storms moved over parts of Putnam County. That's starting to come to an end now. We had a wind gust report in Green Cove Springs of 63 miles per hour earlier this afternoon. Tracking more storms and an update on the tropics. That's in your First Alert forecast.
Right now, an employee of a Jacksonville Children's Center arrested on child porn charges. This is William Ames III. According to JSO, he worked at Hope Haven, which is a clinic that helps children with disability and developmental challenges. Actually, Jack's Logan McDonald is live. Logan, this all started with a cyber tip to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
And Ben, those tips were actually submitted by officials with Google, leading to the arrest of William John Eames here at his place of work, here at Hope Haven on Beach Boulevard in Jacksonville's South Side. This is William Eames. He's now facing 10 different charges of possession of 10 plus photographs of sexual performance by a child. He was also arrested on one felony charge of sexual activity involving animals. The report says police searched Eames' home and found 2 iPhones and a flash drive containing 340 pieces of child pornography after a tip to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Police later arrested Eames at the listed address of Hope Haven, according to that Jacksonville Sheriff's Office report. Chris Carson, a local Jacksonville attorney with years of experience in sex crime cases, says the fact Eames worked with children in his daily job may very well play a role when it comes to sentencing in this case.
My experience is that normally that will serve as a significant aggravating factor should the case end up, say, in front of a judge for sentencing or something along those lines. That's almost always something that a prosecutor would bring to a judge's attention. Yeah.
We also reached out to Hope Haven for statement, who responded, reassuring, in part, quote, all Hope Haven employees are required to successfully complete a level 2 background screening prior to hire. Mr. Eames was cleared through that process when he was hired on October 7th, 2024. His work was conducted under the direct supervision of licensed staff and within a controlled, professional environment that includes a video surveillance throughout our entire campus. We immediately terminated his employment and filed a formal report with the Department of Children and Families as required by our licensure. Coming up on Action News Jax at 5 o'clock, the charges that Eames now faces and the sentencing that could carry. For local coverage you can count on, reporting live from Jacksonville's South Side, I'm Logan McDonald, Action News Jax.
Right now, a Bradford County teacher has turned himself in. It's after deputies say he had, quote, sexual conduct with a student on a computer. Matthew Watson was a teacher at Bradford Middle School. Investigators say it happened in December and someone reported it in February. Watson has since resigned. He's in jail with a $500,000 bond. Police and fire pay raises, affordable housing, and more money for local infrastructure projects. Those are just a few of the highlights of the $2 billion budget proposal rolled out by Mayor Donna Deegan this morning. Actually, Jack's state and local government reporter Jake Stofan is live downtown. Jake, the mayor is proposing to spend a bit more compared to the current fiscal year.
Well, about $100 million more than the current city budget. And virtually all of those increases can be attributed to increased costs at JSO and JFRD due to across-the-board pay raises, as well as a return to the Florida retirement system. That was all negotiated as part of a deal between the city and police and fire unions last year.
At $2 billion, Mayor Donna Deegan's budget proposal manages to increase overall spending while maintaining the city's AA+ credit rating and without dipping into the city's reserves. At $100.1 million, the biggest increase comes in the form of police and fire salary and pension benefits, but the mayor is also looking to spend more on improving roadways and sidewalks, funding those initiatives at $51 million, up 64% from last year. She's asking for $12 million to address homelessness and make housing more affordable, the top local issue according to a recent UNF poll. There's also $87.5 million for riverfront parks construction, $49.8 million for the Kids Hope Alliance, and $56 million for UF Health.
Let's keep our successful partnership going. Expect results, celebrate progress, and deliver the Jacksonville we deserve, not by wishing for it, but by working for it together. Momentum is a fragile, fleeting thing. We have it right now, so let's push forward. Time is of the essence. Our new day is dawning.
And coming up on Action News Jax at 5, we'll hear what the city's new council president thinks of the mayor's proposed spending plan and why the mayor is optimistic her call for more affordable housing dollars will be answered this year. For local coverage, you can count on Live Downtown. I'm Jake Stofan, Action News Jax.
In Action News Jax, pulled the previous budgets going back 20 years, as you can see here. And you can see the budget has increased every year since 2004, 2005, with the exception of 3 times. Mayor John Payton cut the budget by around $17,000 in 2005, and Mayor Alvin Brown also cut the budget twice during his tenure by millions of dollars. New at 4, Action News Jax has learned an 82-year-old man is recovering after being struck by lightning over the weekend. This is Sparky Schuler. Action News Jax talked to his daughter, who is one of 3 people hit by lightning while on the pier in St. Augustine. She says her father took most of the damage and is the sole caretaker of her mother, who was on the pier as well but wasn't hit. Coming up only on Action News Jax at 5, we hear more about her father's recovery. And this comes days after Action News Jax first told you 2 Ware County teens were killed by lightning on Thursday while fishing. Now there's devices in Atlantic Beach that help detect lightning. The Thor guards are located at Ahern Street and Russell Park. City officials say they give warnings between 8 and 20 minutes before a possible lightning strike. That's when it makes a loud sound to alert anyone who may be walking to or from the beach. New at 4, a Ponte Vedra man has been sentenced to 10 years in prison. Kevin Wilson pleaded guilty to attempting to lure a minor for sex. It's after he pretended to be a tutor. We first told you last August when investigators say he responded to a St. Augustine family's Facebook post looking for a tutor. Court documents show as soon as Wilson asked for a picture of their 11-year-old daughter, the parents called police. Action News Jax has learned former Jags star Telvin Smith is now out on bond. He bonded out on Friday after being accused of shooting at a landscaper. Smith was arrested on July the 3rd after police were called to his home in Queens Harbor. An arrest report says the victim walked to Smith's yard and asked if he could cut the grass. Shortly afterwards, Smith posted a series of videos on social media making threats towards someone he says was on his property. Smith's next court date is July 24th. New at 4, Florida's Attorney General says a letter has been sent to public airports across the state. It's to address Florida's new ban on weather modification. The law makes it a felony to inject chemicals into the atmosphere in an attempt to impact weather or the climate. According to the letter, airports will have to report what they put inside planes that could affect the climate. Airports will have to comply starting October the 1st, or they could lose state funding. Now, Action News Jax reached out to Jacksonville International Airport, and authorities say they're awaiting guidance from the Florida Department of Transportation. President Trump announced a deal to send billions of dollars of weapons to Europe, and most of them will make their way into Ukraine, either directly or through NATO partners. During a meeting with NATO's Secretary General Monday, President Trump announced a new deal with European allies. It's to provide Ukraine with more weapons to protect itself against Russia.
This is billions of dollars worth of military equipment is going to be purchased from the United States, going to NATO, etc. And that's going to be quickly distributed to the battlefield. Ukraine will take it up.
The weapons will include Patriot missiles for Ukraine to defend itself against repeated Russian bombs. President Trump has grown increasingly frustrated with Russia's attacks while he pushes to end the war.
We actually thought we had probably 4 times the deal. mean, you would have called and would have said, this looks good. And then the deal wouldn't happen because bombs would be thrown out that night and you'd say, we're not making any deals.
In addition to sending more weapons to Ukraine, the president is working with congressional leaders on a bill to increase sanctions against Russia.
They said they'll have it as quickly as I need it. So we'll see. We're talking to him. In fact, John Thune's coming over later on to talk.
The bill, which has bipartisan support in both the House and Senate, would impose sanctions on countries that purchase oil from Russia, including Brazil, China, and India, which could face a 500% tariff on goods imported to the U.S.
We're going after the people who keep Putin in business, and additional sanctions on Russia itself. This is truly a sledgehammer available to President Trump to end this war.
While President Trump has not yet committed to supporting the bill, Monday he threatened additional tariffs on Russia if they do not agree to a peace deal in 50 days. A Florida man convicted of killing a local couple in 1993 is expected to be executed tomorrow. Action News Jax first told you Michael Bell's attorney's appeal was rejected last week. Bell's attorneys wanted to delay the execution, saying they found new proof that police concealed evidence. Bell was convicted for murdering Jimmy West and 18-year-old Tamika Smith outside a Jacksonville bar. Bell is set to die by lethal injection at 6 p.m. at Florida State Prison in Rayford. The qualifying period for City Council Seat 4 in Green Cove Springs begins today. Candidates can pick up packets right now at the Clay County Supervisor of Elections office. The qualifying period ends this Friday at noon. The special election will be held on Tuesday, September the 23rd. Action News Jax first told you Thomas Smith resigned as mayor and held the council seat. Matt Johnson replaced him as mayor. New aerial video shows the sailboat that caught fire on Jointon Creek on Sunday. You can see the flames, the smoke coming from that boat. St. Johns County Fire Rescue says thanks to a good Samaritan, all 5 people on board were safely rescued. The cause of the fire is still under investigation.
I'm First Alert Meteorologist Trevor Gibbs. Tracking heavy inland thunderstorms this afternoon with a lot of lightning. They will continue to drift south and west with time, moving away from the beaches in the I-95 corridor. We'll have your rain chances in that hour-by-hour forecast coming up.
And next at 4, a reminder for those hitting the roads this week. New penalties targeting super speeders. Plus, Sleepless in Jacksonville. Here's what's coming up tonight at 5:45 on Action News Jax.
Doctors say adults should be getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night, but for most people, myself included, that is not happening. A recent national poll found 6 out of 10 adults don't get enough sleep. It's being called a public health crisis because this is impacting our health, our work, even our relationships. I talked to a sleep doctor at UF Health who says it is possible for us to get on track and get some shut-eye.
Sleep is affected by so many factors. But a lot of it, the good news is a lot of it is under our control.
The doctor reveals a formula we can all follow to get more sleep, and it includes some lifestyle changes that go beyond just putting down our phones. Don't miss my special report, Sleepless in Jacksonville, today at 5:45 on Action News Jax.
In less than 2 hours, the city of Atlantic Beach will discuss its fire and rescue services. Atlantic Beach agreed to pay $750,000 to Jacksonville for fire and rescue services until May of 2026. That's about half as much as before. Some city leaders say it should not have to pay for help since Neptune Beach gets it for free. So again, they're going to vote on that $750,000 tonight. The meeting is scheduled to begin at 6. A live look at 295 West, where drivers can expect to see an increase in law enforcement across several states. It's called Operation Southern Slowdown. It's a week-long education campaign to reduce speeding and aggressive driving. This comes as a new law passed in Florida to increase fines for drivers going 50 miles per hour or more above the posted speed limit. A first offense could put drivers in jail with a $500 fine. Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, and Tennessee are also taking part. The city of Jacksonville Beach tells Action News Jax it's working to fix flooding issues in the northern part of the city. These are some pictures neighbors living on First Street North shared with us. You can see some of the flooding by their homes following storms on Sunday. They say rainfall has flooded there for close to a year, and they think last year's beach renourishment project may be the problem. Neighbors also believe the new dunes are blocking the storm drain from the street to the beach.
Sometimes things get overlooked, but this is really a safety and a health hazard now.
We reached out to Jacksonville Beach's Public Works Department about the problem. We've been told they're working on assessing the flooding, but we're working to learn when it will be fixed. We're bringing you information on products and how you can save money. Here's local steals and deals.
This time of the year, we love to throw open the windows and let all that fresh air in from outside. But unfortunately, it can also bring in the pollen, the pet dander, the smoke from the neighbor burning leaves, and all kinds of things from outside. So we need that fresh air inside our home, and Live Pure's LP 1700 Vortex Air Circulator can do just that. This is a new bladeless oscillating fan. So notice there's no blades, so no puppy dog tails or little children's hands are going to get caught in here. How does it work? It brings the air in through the center opening and then through this carbon filter, this coconut carbon filter, that's then going to filter out the pollen, the pet dander, the smoke, etc., and then shoots the fresh air out into the room. And it even oscillates 45 degrees, so every corner of the room will get that nice fresh air. It's whisper quiet, and it's got lots of cool features that are controlled by this remote. Of course, it turns it on and off. It also has 4 different timer modes, 3 different speeds. It's even got 4 different beautiful ambient colors that you can change from, so it can serve as a night light as well. But most importantly, you're going to have nice, fresh air now in your home with Live Pure. And we're offering 43% off. That's a $60 savings on Live Pure. Just head to localsteals.com for this exclusive offer.
Heavy thunderstorms inland this afternoon, now all west of I-95. So along the I-95 corridor out to the beaches, you're looking good here on First Alert Doppler HD. Not the case, though, in many spots. As we put this into motion, you can see here plenty of lightning in some of these storms. We did have a severe thunderstorm warning earlier this afternoon in northwest Nassau County. That has since been canceled, which is good news for places like Hilliard. The storm weakened as it was over you. Still producing some heavy rainfall, though, and that's near Briceville as well with some lightning. A much stronger storm to the north of there in southeast Georgia, eastern Brantley County, just near and east of Nahunta. You can see plenty of lightning, and at times some of these lightning icons occur outside of where it's raining. So a good reminder that it doesn't have to be raining for lightning and thunder to occur. That can happen outside of a storm. So when you hear thunder, that's your cue to head indoors. Brunswick, you're dry, you'll stay dry, but all this activity moving from northwest to south, or northeast rather, to southwest. Blackshear, Waycross, seeing some spotty rain here and there with a few lightning strikes, but all of this activity moving south-southwest with time into the next couple of hours. So Folkestone, you're going to be looking at that storm pretty soon in the next 15 to 30 minutes coming in from the north in areas like the Okefenokee Swamp in Baker County. You've got some storms too near McClenny, Glen St. Mary. All of that's going to lead to a pretty busy afternoon inland with some of those storms, which will also have a wind threat with them as well. As the storm moved through Green Cove Springs earlier this afternoon, we had an observed wind gust of 63 miles per hour. That also caused some power outages with a tree falling over power lines. So something to consider as you're inland, perhaps driving on I-10 this afternoon. You're going to be running into those storms eventually. You can see here on the satellite imagery where those storms are and where it's dark right up and down our coast. crystal clear skies. So we're looking good with a lot of sunshine and comfortably warm temperatures, if you will. I'll zoom this out and you'll notice much more cloud cover just off our coastline. That's an area that's being watched for tropical development, actually. Over the next couple of days, we've been talking about this for several days now. Gave you the first alert to this last week that we could be watching an area of low pressure off the coastline of Florida. A lot of the storm activity with this is actually south of the center of circulation. So that means that wind shear is still impeding on this, and that's going to continue for at least a little while longer. But this could gradually develop as it moves towards Florida, then over Florida and into the northern Gulf later this week. Now, where it enters the Gulf will have implications on its long-term future. If it's more north, then that could bring in more land interaction, which would result in an eventual weaker system. If it's more south, that would have more time over the warm waters of the Gulf, and we could be looking at a more organized system. But in either case, it's going to be moving away from Florida. Now, as it moves over Florida, it will be bringing a lot of tropical moisture. You can see here over the next 5 days, essentially 3 to 5 inches up and down the Gulf Coast of Florida, the central Gulf Coast as well. But you'll notice less rain totals as you move more north and east. So we'll have some rain at times over the next couple of days, enhanced because of that with an onshore wind as well. But as far as any serious impacts look to be away from our region. The next name on the list this year is Dexter. Your 7-day forecast with that weekend always in view, showing 90s each day over the next several days. A little bit of an onshore wind tomorrow. We'll see some slightly cooler temperatures back into the mid-90s by the end of this week. The latest forecast is always there online, actionnewsjax.com, and you can track those thunderstorms with our free First Alert weather app.
Coming up, a big change could be coming to crash test dummies, what it is and how it's expected to save lives. There's a new push to start using female crash test dummies when testing how cars perform. For decades, the dummies have been almost entirely designed around the male body. Women make up more than half of U.S. drivers, but are 73% more likely to suffer serious injuries in a crash than men. They are 17% more likely to be killed as well. The She Drives Act wants to update federal crash worthiness tests, including test dummies that represent 4'11" women who weigh 108 pounds.
Are women hitting the dashboard at a different spot than men? Are we hitting a particular item in a car more often, and that's causing more injury? And that's where these crash test dummies that are, the size of the average woman will help us gather that data.
Some safety advocates argue resources will be better focused on developing virtual testing tools. They say it would help researchers better understand the unique risks faced by different kinds of drivers. You could harvest for spiny lobster ahead of the regular season. FWC announced a sports season that will take place in July 30th and 31st. It's open to everyone. Harvest regulations still apply. The price of first-class Forever stamps are going up again. The stamp is now selling for 78 cents, a 5-cent increase. USPS says the reason is to help the Postal Service stay financially stable. Other USPS products are also seeing a slight increase, including domestic postcards and international postcards. 4 astronauts are on their way back to Earth from the International Space Station. The capsule began to undock from the ISS this morning. I first told you last month when the crew took off from Kennedy Space Center. The Dragon is expected to splash down Tuesday morning off the coast of California. Trevor, what do you have?
All right, Ben, storms are inland this afternoon, so many of you are totally dry with a lot of sunshine, but you're looking west, you see the clouds, and that's where we are tracking some heavy storms. That'll continue over the next couple of hours, moving from northeast to southwest, farther away from the coast.
All right, thanks for joining us today at 4. Much more ahead on Action News Jacks at 5. Only on Action News Jacks, a local family describes the moment they were struck by lightning, the latest in their loved one's recovery.